everything. Can you, I think we're going the order we did, just literally no more than a minute. One reason why, Kipling is better than Orwell. Or one answer.
The awful thing about this is that the two opposites are, as you've said, I think we all accept that Orwell is the greatest essayist in Swift, if not greater. And the two ideas he has in 1987, in his two great works, are hugely important. The dangers of totalitarianism, and they stand alone. There's no question about it. The other man is an artist, first and last, and yet he's full of paradoxes. He's writing recessional at the same time he's writing the great man, white man's work. It's bizarre in that sense, and I think we've got to separate the two. I think you can vote on this aspect and this aspect. It seems hard to see how you put them together. I wonder one quick point about Kim. I'd love to make a point that when I was at school, at the age of 13, we were asked to choose, my English teacher, to choose a poem, and I chose Gunga Din, and I was put into detention for it. Because I thought, and actually, only recently, I was in India, and I heard an Indian actor, a brilliant Indian actor, in Cockney, giving that poem, and being roared with applause by an Indian audience. India does seem to appreciate Kipling more than we do, and strange paradox. They want to make a film of Kim. Kim is not what we think. It begins as a masculine exercise, to answer your point, and it becomes increasingly feminine. The man turns more, the boy without identity looks more and more towards the feminine side of his nature to find himself. And please read it again. It's a huge classic. And when Orwell, actually, in one of his essays, says he's only written one novel, The Light, but it's failed, it's rubbish.
Well, I would sum up by picking up on that last point, which you made about the literary and political being two separate things. And I think one of the beauties of Orwell is that they are not two separate things. For him to write clearly is to think clearly, and to be able to read clearly is to be able to see through the lies and the rhetoric and the things that are trying to control us. And that also connects to the point about being critical of his own assumptions, because he writes with such clarity that he can't even fool himself, and he continually returns to criticising his own assumptions. He absolutely throws himself into any experience that he writes about. He goes and experiences the thing that he's going to write about. He goes to Paris and London, lives on the streets, roams the countryside, goes to Wigan. He throws himself into it, just like in the Just So story about the elephant that goes down to the water and gets caught by the crocodile, and so that pulls out his nose. And that, I think that's Orwell. And not only does it pulls out his nose, gives him a fantastic new instrument with which he can do all sorts of things, but he can also trumpet far and wide the truth about the world that we live in.
Thank you. Right. Well, just to take up your point, and I think that Kipling, certainly in his Indian years, was very much critiquing the Raj, the plaintains from the hills, was very much a series of stories about the foibles and the misdemeanours, etc., of those people up the hill in Shimla. And there's a whole load of poems that don't actually get into anthologies about him taking Lord Dufferin to task and things like that. So, I think he does do that. But I think why Kipling is probably the greater writer is that he does encompass all, and people have. Somebody referred to Pluck of Pook's Hill. This is sort of something that can be read. He had looked at every aspect of society, and it is a series of stories that can be read by children, by adults. And I think, again, getting back to your point, you were asking about why is there interest in him now. I think that people have sort of got beyond the gut reaction that I think Orwell did have to him as a member of the sort of imperialist generation. And they're beginning to look at him afresh. And I do think that actually there are, certainly I can point to 2 or 3 universities which are looking at Kipling and do actually have him on a syllabus. Sheffield happens to be one.
Kent,
yeah.
Well, I have Orwell on my syllabus at City University, but that's me rather than anything. But anyway, George Orwell is better than Rudyard Kipling because he's less of a prisoner of his personal background and his time than Orwell, both politically and stylistically. He speaks directly to us in 2011 in a way Kipling, for all his strengths, does not. No one would recommend an aspiring poet in 2011 to write like Kipling. Anyone advising an aspirant prose writer would suggest they write like Orwell.
I'd actually like to thank the audience, who I think it's been a really interesting set of questions, so thank you very much. And I'm just going to... Right, OK, for Kipling... Come on. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18. She's now 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25. OK, for Orwell... I think Orwell has won, but actually, we think these are two tremendous writers about politics who write absolutely brilliantly. And I'd very much like to thank our panel, who've been absolutely spectacular. Work like those Oxford, giving you every conceivable reason to go out and buy their individually inspiring books. And I'd like to thank them very much indeed.